we going? On a bike? Hi. Date night. Date night. First thing that comes to mind.
Priority. Should be a priority
Priority.
for your relationship. Always have a date night. Preferably at least a weekly date night. That's what we did and do.
Date night. I think when I think date night, I think she's all mine. It's just me. Just me and you.
Selfish.
Selfish. I'm very selfish. Just time. Not that I don't get time, but having just time with you outside of distractions. First thing I think of is probably selfish motives. Let's talk about what date night is, but maybe let's talk about our first actual official date. We'll give a little backstory. Oh my gosh.
27,
No.
23, 24
No.
years ago.
1999. I thought you were going to say
99.
20
No,
something.
December of 99.
1999, first date night. We met at a holiday party. We won't get into that story. Maybe that's another one. The next morning,
After dancing till like 4 in the morning.
neither one of us went to sleep. Basically, get up, date night.
Turned into date day.
Turned into date day. And what was our first? Let's go over our first date. So we had a very first date within 24 hours of meeting each other.
Yes. Bagels with tofu, cream cheese, and Central Park. Bicycle ride in Central Park. We were living in the city at the time.
Yeah, we met, crazy enough, 2 blocks away from each other. We met all the way across town, and then we ended up only living 2 blocks from each other. We met up midway between on 78th Street.
78th Street.
And then we took our bikes and went across town.
Into Central Park.
So first date, we went, and I remember tofu, cream cheese, everything bagels. You introduced me.
Sounds gross, but it's so delicious.
I think it's the first time I had tofu.
Super good.
So that was our first date, and then we just really never stopped
No.
after that. So date night has always been important to us when we were first dating. We had
We
dated.
had many more prior to kids.
Yeah.
So it was always like not just once a week, it was lots and lots. But once you have kids, parent, you have to make it a priority. So that's when we set at least weekly.
What is date night? Now, if you're a married couple like us, if you 10, 20 years, you got under your belt. We've seen lots of people, I remember, when they're starting families, they just stopped doing date night. They stopped making time for each other. That's something and I don't know, like, I never felt selfish that we were actually taking time away to do us.
No.
To have time just the 2 of us. So I know everybody has different priorities.
Yeah,
Right?
you need to invest in that because you need that good foundation, set an example for your kids too. We were very fortunate, I will have to say, that we had family in town that made it really helpful to watch the kids, our babies, when we went on date night. So that took that nervousness and, unsettled feeling of who you're going to leave your kids with. So we were fortunate for having family.
Yeah.
So grateful for that. But regardless of family or no family, find someone you can trust and start with date night.
Yeah, so we'll share. We just went on a date night. It actually wasn't on a Thursday. We went on a Saturday. It was kind of a weird week for us getting back into the swing of things. We usually currently have a date night's non-negotiable Thursday night. That took, a little while to actually make that on our calendar, not more so for you.
Yeah.
For a schedule where things would get in the way. And then we officially, probably like 2 years ago, maybe 3 years ago, two and a half, 3 years ago, every Thursday night, non-negotiable for date night, and it's been really, really great. And I look forward, although we just went to one on Saturday night, and the Indian food, you may hear us talk about Indian food because we love it so much. And we're going to talk about that date night, but I want to go over like reasons why you want to date your spouse. Like, okay, we're married for good, better or for worse. Why date? We're with each other.
We just celebrated our 21 years.
21 years.
Yes.
So why?
Which is not an easy thing, especially with statistics saying 1 out of 2 marriages end in divorce.
And I think even here where we live, it's like 80%. Like I remember seeing 75 to 80% here in this area of Florida, which is really sad. Not surprising, just, it is sad though. So what are some reasons? That could be one of the reasons to date your spouse, is that then you're dating your spouse and there'd be no reason to date anybody else. But let's go over some of the reasons to date your spouse. I know I have fun with you. So that's like, we'll go kind of down the list of handful of things. Having fun together. Like we have lots of fun on date nights.
Even if I still like you. So that's a reason. If you like your spouse, you kind of want to still date them.
How about give me another one?
Aside from it's fun, it's a good way just to touch, if your week's busy and you kind of go astray, we know that guaranteed together, good communication face-to-face, no distractions with phones and technology and kids, which we love, but kids can survive without you for a bit. And so I think that time dedicated to each other, showing how much you appreciate them and how important this relationship is, the foundation. So
connection I think has been really, really helpful. And there's we get into our routines because for, up until recently, Nicole had her routine for work and for kids and that was kind of a regular, daily basis type thing. And then same for me for running a business and doing that, which, I've been doing different ways. Then it's okay, time to say hello to each other and give yourself a kiss and say, I love you. And then you're kind of doing your daily thing. So it does help to have that kind of breaking up the routine of the chores and things of life, to be able to sometimes it was just a bike ride too.
A lot of the times.
We don't do fancy too much, but just, getting dressed up every once in a while, having nice dinner, being able to talk. When we lived in New York, interesting enough, I bring up Indian food because we actually just talked about this. Sorry, those mosquitoes. I guess the lemongrass is not working, or this
and
candle.
Citronella candle are
Citronella
supposed to deter these mosquitoes in Florida, but they're very pesky.
You thought this was for ambiance. It was to get rid of the mosquitoes. It definitely. But we were talking to the bartender about
Indian food.
with Indian food and making decisions. And we actually, when we lived in New York and we were starting to grow in our relationship out while we were dating, we made a lot of big decisions. I think we made that decision about going to Paris, and then even event in Lake Tahoe, a team in training, and then moving, getting married, always over Indian food. So, and those are dates. It was a value to having those dates. And then it really helped strengthen our bond together, to be able to, lean in on each other when we had a hard day, to talk, and it was just time with us. No distractions from kids, no distractions from families, no distractions from normal life stuff. So I think that was one of the other reasons. And not to mention when you get dressed up and looking good, and you always look good, but then getting a little extra and just looks good, let's just go there. I mean, it's nice to have your wife looking good and going out on a date and feeling confident and comfortable and stuff. And the intimacy part is that much better too. That's part of date night as well. There's no reason to hide that.
For sure not. It's important. It should be important, unless you just be friends.
Date night is romance. It's not everything, but it is definitely something that I think has really helped keep our relationship as strong as it is. And sometimes we did more than one. We'd do one or two. We'd have a weekend.
But at least once.
At least once a week. Non-negotiable.
Yes. Well, our dates are kind of like us. We're kind of casual and not too scripted, and just my ideas a lot of the times just in our environment. Hey, beach walk or paddleboard at night.
Bike ride to our favorite Indian restaurant.
Bike ride, incorporate a little exercise, and then we do ride our bikes down to Indian and pizza. That's worth.
This is just something simple. Now, you might not live in an area that's easily walkable, or you could ride a bike to. Maybe you have to get in a car. Maybe you live in a city and you can do these things. We often take our bikes out. The weather's beautiful here. We go for a bike ride a couple miles away. Go down the beach. It's very simple to do. We get to have a little time together. We don't have to get in a car. If we want to have a cocktail, we don't have to worry about driving. It's just nice to be out. And always, we've done that for a while now.
I guess it started back on our first date in New York City.
First date on bikes, and gosh.
Bagels, basic stuff. We like our carbs too.
We do like the carbs. So, getting the biking in, a little extra movement helps digestion.
And we check out different areas. Where we live. We live at the beach, but we love to get in the car, not ride down to different little areas downtown, like Springfield and Riverside and San Marco and Five Points.
All the areas.
Little areas to go have date nights at different little locations.
And they all
So
seem
it's
a
fun.
little different. Like in New York, the neighborhoods in New York are a little different. The atmosphere is a little different. The energy, the vibe is a little different. So we've had fun on that. And then also sometimes just going down to the beach, you know, or going for a hike, going for a walk. It doesn't have to be around food, although we do like food. So we've enjoyed that. I know like when now we think we have a lot more freedom. Now we're looking at venturing out and doing different things, not just a bike ride, but maybe going and traveling, like going on a day trip, just go up north to like Jekyll Island or one of those areas. These are all areas within our, you know, within our region, so to speak. But then sometimes even just, you know, chilling in the backyard and having a glass of wine or
Go in space. Kind
Yeah.
of like a staycation.
yeah, staycation, doing that. So those are all great things. But let's share like, you know, our most recent one. So we talked about biking. So got our bikes out, went down to our favorite Indian restaurant, and Jack Spice. We'll give them a nice plug because it's our favorite Indian restaurant. Pretty authentic. We always sit at the bar. It's kind of funny because we never sat at the bar type of people.
No,
We never were like big into drinking, but I like to sit at the bar and kind of observe what's going on, and that's been fun. We had some delicious food, and this time we went a little spicier. We kind of like tried something a little bit.
Usually do 3 out of 5. We're, you know, like a little spice, but not too much. So for ours, it's 3 out of 5.
Yeah.
But
I think in life we're doing a little more spice recently in general. So yeah, out of 5. So if you eat Indian food, you know, it's either like 1 out of 5. They ask you what number do you want, and we usually do like 3, but we did 4. No, we're doing video. All right, so we're contemplating doing 3 or
3 out
4.
of 6 or 4 out of 6. I
On the
think we can
spice.
do a 4 out of 6. I'm feeling confident
3
that we
or
could
4?
step it up. I think we should do 4.
4 out of 6. I think we're gonna go for it. You'll see by the amount of sweat on my forehead.
Sweating under your
And
feeling.
oh my goodness, my head was sweating. All right, so how was it? And what spice did we get? We went for the 4, and it was a little hot. I had to wipe my forehead a few times from the sweat.
You redeemed yourself for my birthday.
Yes. And it's done that before. But a little spice here. We got a bumblebee showing up here. Just flew
Eat the
over.
mosquitoes, please.
Yeah, eat all the mosquitoes you want.
It was good, but it was definitely a little bit spicy.
It was a little
it was-
spicy.
But, you know,
But great food and
good conversation.
yeah.
Windy bike ride home. But, you know, it's an important thing. It's a priority. We've always made it a priority.
I think the one thing that we realized too is just having that quality time. And I don't know, I think maybe for us, you've ever read The 5 Love Languages, that book is a great book to understand where your love languages are. And like for me,
And
you
what
know,
your spouse's
most
is.
guys probably physical touch, but I think also quality time for both of us
Quality time.
together has been a value. So I know some of you guys like, you know, gifts
Or
words of affirmation. If you read the book,
Yeah.
fantastic book if you want to understand your spouse. Because I know we
Very different.
very
Ours are
different. Yeah, but I do say quality time,
Quality time is important.
Yeah.
For both of us.
which has been really, really good. So I'm actually curious, so you can get involved in our YouTube page here. And by all means, we welcome you to share any comments that you have down below. What has really been valuable for you in date nights? What are some of the things that you enjoy to do for date night? Maybe there's something that we didn't talk about. We'd love to get your feedback on how you do date nights. What has worked well for you? I think one of the other things too, we argue, we have arguments, but I also believe, you know, without fail, we tend to still make it a point to go out and tend to sometimes resolve our differences on those. We'll have conversations, whether it's we're making big decisions or we're talking about our kids, talking about life, careers, you know, family. We don't always agree,
Why not?
but we tend to have good conversations and communication.
Yeah.
That's been really cool. When you know that time is set for your spouse, then you know you have that time to be able to communicate. Is that actually a really good habit to get into to learn how to communicate? We definitely bump heads.
Of course.
Yeah.
We're definitely going to have conflict. That's kind of natural. It's amazing that people can actually, coming from 2 different backgrounds completely, the way you're raised, you can actually get together and be married and stay married. There's such differences, but you just work it out and compromise and communicate. And I will have to say, good foundation. Ours is Christian,
Yeah.
and Jesus. That's our good foundation.
Yeah.
And we're grateful for that, because most things kind of come down to that. And if you have Jesus at the center, you can kind of work through a lot of your issues, finances, parenting, raising your kids, all that kind of stuff.
How do you get started if you really suck at date nights, and maybe you and your spouse are just running and burning at both ends, and you got kids maybe in sports, or they're older and you're doing college and all that stuff? How to really get back those date nights? Maybe you want those in your life. Maybe one spouse is on the same page and the other is not. Maybe one is like, yeah, we need to do this, and the other is not. So what are some easy things we can maybe give to people that are maybe struggling or want to have better date nights?
Just ask and set it on the calendar.
That's
Say,
it.
This is it.
That's it.
This is
That was what we
happening.
did.
We're doing it. I'm choosing this week, and you plan the date. You can choose next week, kind of rotate it off. Again, it doesn't have to be fancy. It doesn't have to be expensive. It's just a priority to take the time and spend together, because if you don't make yourself a priority, you're going to lose sight of your relationship, and that's not going to be good for your family. So you need that.
Oh, but wait, Nicole, you don't understand. Like, my kids need me. They have to, like, I can't leave them. Like, this is what we hear often.
When they were
Like
younger.
when they were younger. No, I count really, like, I feel guilty to leave my kids with a babysitter. So, well, what's going to happen like now, and our kids are close to being empty nesters. Now what happens? So if you don't put the deposits in that relationship during the younger years, how are you expecting that relationship to actually really grow and develop once your kids are out of the house?
You may not like them anymore. You
Yeah,
don't spend time with them,
and
so-
we've met people like that.
Yeah.
That
they
they've
don't
never
lose
done
sight of
anything
each other.
together for themselves, and now their kids are out of the house, and they were going to retire, and they retire, and then they go back to work because they're miserable because they don't get along.
You don't have anything in common anymore, so I think that would be pretty sad.
You got to pick what's going to work best for you, but I can encourage you, if you're wondering how 21 years a part of our marriage and our covenant with each other is having our faith, like Nicole talked about, truly like believing God has our relationship in control rather than us trying to control each other or our relationship, and also keeping our focus on the main thing. Keeping the main thing really is our faith, but also the main thing is realizing that we do need to be intentional about the time we spend with each other. And we got to take time out to ourselves, take time for our family, but also take time for one another to, to lean on, to share our desires, share our goals. We talk about our vision and where we want to live and what we want to do and all those types of things. And it's exciting. Date nights can be super exciting. But date nights don't happen if you're not intentional, right?
Yeah.
You have to make it a point, to make it a priority. So I'd love to know when you're going to go on your next date night, what you're going to do, and I'd love to hear from you anything that we missed about date nights and the value and priorities. We'd love to hear from your comments down below. And if you enjoyed this, we ask you, all you do is share this page, subscribe to us. We're getting into now the YouTube. Hey, if you like it, hit the like button and subscribe. And we do appreciate you. We hope you enjoyed our time with us today. And I didn't get bit by mosquitoes, so it did work.
Less work. One, this
I see them.
Who knows? I know they're around, but I haven't bitten.
All right,
Yeah.
appreciate you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Guys.
See you next time.
Bye.
Let's pause that for a minute because that turned off. I don't know why. Maybe it got.
Okay.
So we'll pause this. Actually, I won't pause it. I'll keep it playing. But this one went off.
Good?
Yeah.
You know.
But it doesn't matter as long as we got. Maybe because it was hot. So we have lemongrass.
Lemongrass, I read about it. Oh, sugar.
We got a
Supposed to be
lemongrass
really
plant.
good for mosquitoes and
Is that good for mosquitoes?
our plant.
I
Julia,
think that
and our
works.
candle, Julia. Gave me the candle.
Yeah, very good.
Smells good. Hello. How are you? Thank you.
What was that?
Amazon.
Amazon. Yeah.
Possibly my magnesium.
Come on, sit down.
Oh, thought we were done.
No, I'm not done.